I wanted to create a video on Crusader Paragon point spending and how to prioritize your Paragon points. It's commonly asked, which categories should you put points into initially and going forward. And especially when it comes to Season 2, this is going to be very relevant. So let's go through that, and I'll try to touch on both the Condemn and the Stampede spec, and both are pretty similar anyways. So when it comes to the first category, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you have anything in movement speed up to 25%. Now, a lot of people have boots that already have a particular number of movement speed. On my boots, it's 12. So you don't want to go over that. So in my case, I would put it at 13. So 13. And then go forward with other categories that I'll touch on later. Now, if you don't have a movement speed modifier, you'll put all 25 into there. So let's just say that that's what I have. I don't have a movement speed modifier. Now, after movement speed, you can prioritize pretty much all of your points in strength generally. And I say generally because this is kind of a balance. You definitely want to have enough vitality to have enough life to sustain yourself as well. A good number to target for T6 farming is about 400k or so. You can go down less, even 350 or so. But strength actually gives you power and a small amount of mitigation from the toughness that it gives. A lot of people put points in maximum wrath, and I used to be one of them, but you really don't need to do that. The only reason I can see you would put points in maximum wrath at this point when using Condemn or Stampede is if you use the Reaper's Wraps, because the Reaper's Wraps allow health globes to give you primary resource. Since most builds don't run those wraps, at least in the final version of specs, you don't have to put any there. Let's go to offense. Now, this is how pretty much bar none every Crusader should allocate their points in this category. They should first go for cooldown reduction. That is our most important stat as a Crusader. Remember, all Crusaders need 55.6% in cooldown reduction with the 6-piece of cons bonus to have full uptime on Akarat's Champion. Then you want to go crit hit damage, because 50% crit hit damage is generally better than having the maximum amount that you can get for crit here, which is 5%. Now, let's say your crit was super low, like 5% or 0%. Then I can see going crit first, but in most specs that you're gearing out, and let's say you have a pretty good idea of, how to prioritize stats on gear, crit hit damage is usually the best. Then crit hit chance. Then after all of this is done, then you can go to attack speed. Quick word on attack speed, it's almost useless for the Condemn spec. It really only affects how fast you're hitting with your primary attack, which is not a huge portion of our damage. You can say that procs Mirror Namor, but it's really negligible compared to the other stats. With Pony Stampede build, it actually is a little bit better because you'll be shooting your horses faster. Alright, so defense. First things first, when it comes to defense, you want to go for a resist all up to 250, which spends a total of 50 points. Then, once you have that maxed out, you want to go for armor. These two stats, when maxed out, provide a very high amount of mitigation, and that tends to be more important when it comes to farming than just pure life. After that, then you can hit life, and at this stage you can kind of balance between life and regeneration. For my purposes, since I'm higher level than many people when they go through the season, I put all mine into life and then life regeneration. If your life regeneration is especially low, you can kind of do a balancing act between the two. For utility, the most important when it comes to farming is area damage. Area damage is not a huge damage boost, but it does provide a little bit more burst damage. It's especially good for farming. It allows you to clear T6 faster, bar none. Then I would go to life on hit. And this is for both specs, by the way. Life on hit gives you more sustainability and more duration throughout fights to stay alive. But the Crusader gets really good sustainability anyways, especially with Condemn having the Prophet rune on Akrats and Indestructible. You don't really need that much life on hit. So after these two, generally, then I would go for resource cost reduction. Resource cost reduction is really good, but really the top benefit that we can get out of it's 10%. It's not that high. And then obviously gold, fine. So that's basically it. That's how to prioritize the stats in Paragon or Crusader. I think that's the best way to do it generally. Keep in mind that this is not like basically a written in stone rule. there's going to be some variation to this, and Diablo is a balancing game. So if you have super low life or something, you can spend points in vitality and you won't lose sleep over it, trust me. But this is a pretty good guide. I hope it helps you gear and allocate your Paragon for your Crusader, and I hope it helps you in season.